Hey, this is DT from DT Refinish. Wanted to try something new here and talk about my refinish process from start to finish. And here we're starting off with blowing off the panels with air, and I'm feeling around with my bare hand. My hands are clean. I'm trying to feel for any sort of dirt or grit on the panels and just blow all that dirt off and make sure it's a nice smooth surface. Like I say, your hands got to be clean. You don't want to have greasy hands while you're doing this. You're gonna, put oil and contaminants into the paint job. That's what we're trying to avoid. So then after that, I switch over to these Torque white microfiber cloths. I've been using these for a few years now, and it's my go-to. I mean, they leave absolutely no lint, and they absorb really well. I guess my only complaint about them is that they're a little bit small, but other than that, they're great. I usually just use one wet towel and one dry towel, and in this part of the process, you really want to take your time, make sure you're wiping off all of the cleaner, not letting any of that cleaner sit on there and dry on its own. That's just going to cause issues once you go and apply your top coats. I then follow that up with solvent-based cleaner just for my final wipe. Here we've got the Moonwalk. I'm loading it up with my toners, and honestly, I kind of have a love-hate relationship with this machine. It's been great when it works, but it sure can be a pain when you got to change every other toner as it's mixing, because it'll just stop, and it'll probably end up slowing you down rather than speed you up. But in this instance, I used it right before I did my sealer, and it worked out perfectly. Came back in, it was all mixed up. So before we put our sealer on, I grabbed the Pro Spot Ion Star anti-static gun, and I just use that as I tack off, and it's another really good tool to use to help keep your jobs cleaner. Any sort of anti-static gun would do. This is just the one that we have. I do like the green light feature that it has. You can see where you are using it, and basically just try and treat it like I'm painting the panels when I use it. And yeah, here I'm just putting on some G7 sealer, which is the darkest sealer for this paint. It's Chrysler PAU for a Dodge Ram. And you might notice that all the parts are off of the vehicle, and this helps a lot with our efficiency. Helps, get all the parts in one load rather than bringing in the entire vehicle. And here you see the Moonwalk's all finished up, got everything basically zeroed out, and I'm ready to start basing. So after that sealer's been flashed off for about 15 minutes, I go ahead and put on my wet bed. Just a nice even wet coat, and let that flash off before starting the base coat process. So quick little blends there, and then what I like to do is put my first coat on nice and wet, go for full coverage. What I found has worked for me is, putting on my first coat quite wet and slowly sort of backing off as I put on more coats. Generally pretty wet, but we're sort of working our way to our control coats and trying to orientate those metallics as we go along. So yeah, like I said, the first coat's really wet, nice overlap, and then we want to make sure that we completely dehydrate our base coat. I find that using the blower by hand is a little bit faster than using the blowers in the booth, so that's why you see me standing there and blowing off these panels. It might look like I'm not doing anything, but it actually speeds up the process. And here I actually noticed that there was a nib in the fender that I wanted to take out, so I took a little bit of 1000 grit sandpaper while blowing it off, quick little tack, and we just hit it with just that little bit of base coat just to hide those sanding scratches. And you can do this at any point in your painting process, but you just have to make sure that you go back over those sanding scratches with one full coat, and then a orientation coat afterwards. So here I'm just checking for coverage with my sun gun, shut off all the lights, and I'm glad that I did, because I did notice that the parts that were sealed weren't quite covered, so I just quickly put on a little bit of a half coat almost. Didn't drop the pressure or anything, just quicker coat. And then here we are starting with our orientation coat. We're doing a double control coat, so you kind of see me go over the same panels twice there. And once that's completely flashed off, we're on to clear coat. And I mean, it's at this point we're in the home stretch, just trying to get that product on there. Nice overlap, consistent distance. We're looking for, you know, a nice smooth finish, OEM orange peel. We're not trying to glass everything up and make it look like a show car. We're in the collision industry here, so you know, we try to make the vehicle look like it did when it came from factory. So I actually ran into a little bit of an issue here. Longer hair landed in the front of the hood, so I'm picking it out with some tape here, and then following it up with a little bit of a flow coat on top of this. And this was just in my first coat, so after that, following it up with my second coat. And yeah, like I said, just going for that OEM finish, not soaking it on there. We don't want any issues with solvent popping, especially on the hood. And yeah, here's the finished product. Pretty clean. It'll need a little bit of a denib, but rarely do they ever come out perfect. So I'm pretty happy with this one. Everything laid down pretty smooth. If you want to see more of this, make sure you leave a like. And if you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask. Later.